Welcome back everybody to another episode of Direct Comparison. In today's episode, we're taking a look at Treyarch's recently released Call of Duty Black Ops 7 and seeing how it compares visually and from a gameplay perspective to last year's entry, Black Ops 6. For this video, both games have been played and recorded on a PC, with the graphics settings pushed to their max values at a native 4K resolution. Ray tracing has been enabled when possible, and post-processing effects like motion blur have been disabled to ensure cleaner image quality. Alright, so let's kick this comparison off by first checking out the design and fidelity of the character models. So right away, we can already begin to pick apart a pretty big distinction between these two games that you'll find will become a reoccurring theme throughout most of this comparison. And that of course has to do with the general style and approach used here. Black Ops 6 takes place during the 1990s, and therefore has a more grounded, modern look to its character models, using more conventional clothing and familiar gear that aims to suit the chosen setting. Likewise, Black Ops 7 fully embraces its setting, and aims for a more sci-fi angle. A lot of the characters also seem to sport this sort of grid-based map-like texture for their clothing, likely a design choice to connect the unit together and give more uniformity. Despite these drastically different themes, both games still seem to have some familiar silhouettes across their characters, with similar body types, key visual accessories, and the overall variety. If you dive deeper, both games even sport the same heroes from the zombie mode, only Black Ops 7 actually zombifies them, no doubt a tie-in narratively to that sub-game's plotline. These offer a clear glimpse into what's actually been changed on a technical level, or rather, what hasn't changed at all. Based on these specific characters, the techniques and design strategy for these character models has not changed over the course of the past year. Hair cards, for example, are virtually identical. Texture resolution, light interaction, materials, and the overall level of detail are the same as well. And really, the only difference you can expect here boils down to the cosmetic choices made, rather than any actual improvement on the graphical level. Weapon models are more or less the same story. There's a ton of weapons available in either game, far more in Black Ops 6 currently due to its rollout of seasonal content over the course of its lifetime. But even still, there's more than enough weapons in Black Ops 7 to look at too, none of which are shared with its predecessor. Every gun in Black Ops 7, like its characters, aims for this new sci-fi angle, with no specific real-life counterpart, but only the allusion to certain fan-favorite weapons like the AK-101 here. And like with the characters, you'll find some very slight similarities in overall weapon functionality and silhouettes here too, despite those weapons being completely different on the surface. The general weapon aesthetic used in Black Ops 7 seems to be this cleaner, polished look, with dozens of these small details all throughout, giving it a more complex look overall. It reminds me a lot of the Sig Sauer MCX weapon series, with lots of these vented barrel shrouds and smooth receiver designs. It definitely delivers that quintessential sci-fi look, but also seems to run the risk of every gun looking more or less the same, whereas the weapons in Black Ops 6 feel as though they have a bit more variety, considering they're actually based on real-life weapons from various weapon makers around the world. Still, from a graphical perspective, neither game really stands above the other, and so, like with the character models, it just boils down to preference. Next up, let's take a look at some of the environments on offer in either game. Now, as mentioned previously, both Black Ops 6 and 7 utilized drastically different settings despite the similar naming convention, with Black Ops 6 harking back to the more classic historical context of the original game, while Black Ops 7 aims to emulate the near-future vibes of Black Ops 2. Because of this, you can expect completely different location choices and level designs between these two games, and very little overlap in terms of overall design philosophy. Maps in Black Ops 6 are generally set in old, run-down industrial settings, urban structures, small towns, and military complexes, with many of the decorative assets having this sort of worn-out, old look to them. There's occasionally much brighter, vibrant locations meant to be more fun and exciting, but most of the base maps in Black Ops 6 are a grab bag of more realistic and relatable locations that aim to suit the conventional theming of the game. Black Ops 7, on the other hand, fully embraces its near-future theme in its level designs, incorporating plenty of traditional architecture and natural elements, while carving into them with these much harsher, angled lines and cleaner aesthetic choices that generally accompany the sci-fi setting. It's not necessarily anything we haven't seen before, even in the Call of Duty series, but it's still a unique aesthetic choice regardless, and it does stand out a lot from the past several Call of Duty games. Robot factories, biotubes, and even the old ruins of this ocean-based resort from Black Ops 2 are all featured prominently, and make for some interesting arena choices. I especially like this large Japanese castle, and this rain-soaked Tokyo street, that stand apart greatly from the more factory-focused and high-tech facilities featured otherwise. The latest release of the new Nuketown map helps to illustrate the overall difference between the two games even more clearly, as we get two completely different takes on this beloved classic, with Black Ops 6 embracing the traditional 1950s-style nuclear testing suburban neighborhood, while Black Ops 7 instead transforms the map into one of those retro-futuristic environments, with more bubbly vehicles, lots of chrome, rounded steel, and checkerboard lawns. In terms of quality, there's nothing that really stood out to me as being better in one game over the other. They both look fantastic, with lots of high-fidelity texture work, quality meshes, and in general, great aesthetic design. I did discover a few higher fidelity textures on average in Black Ops 7, like this bus in Nuketown, but other details like grass and the roads didn't demonstrate as much of an improvement. I even found the details to be a bit lacking in some cases when compared to Black Ops 6, though this likely has more to do with the artistic choice that they made, as the retro future style is supposed to appear much cleaner than the run-down, dirty-looking 1990s setting. In fact, if you look closely, you'll even find some details that were removed can be found in other places, like this exact same hose mesh, or these cacti, suggesting that it's very much just an intentional change rather than any limitations technically. Lighting is similarly not really changed all that much between either game. They both have baked lighting effects that look fantastic in these smaller scale maps, and are enhanced further with great color variety and good choices with the global light conditions to help evoke a unique look across the map pool. I especially love the glowing blue of the icy caves in Retrieval, the calming sunset on the water of Blackheart, and the northern lights seen in Homestead. But Black Ops 6 is no slouch here either, as there's some great lighting designs in maps like Babylon, Derelict, and especially Lowtown, due to its simulated global illumination. Bloom effects are also handled better in Black Ops 7, avoiding the trap of having that exposure effect between interior and outdoor areas blinding the player temporarily, and allowing that transition to happen more seamlessly, ensuring readability remains a priority. What's more, Black Ops 7 also features some great ray trace reflections that come into play a lot visually thanks to the more reflective material chosen for the game's sci-fi setting. Black Ops 6 features a lot of nice, shiny, reflective surfaces too, but it utilizes screen space reflections instead, that accomplish more or less the same thing but not as accurately, and with far less of a hit to performance. The performance hit with these ray trace reflections in Black Ops 7, even on a 5090, is still far too strong for my liking. And because this feature is only available in multiplayer and zombies mode, it feels like a moot point in the end, as it's just not worth that huge impact to performance, unless you're okay with using things like DLSS and FrameGen to help offset that performance drop. But it looks good either way, and is for sure a technical step above the reflections used in Black Ops 6. Next we have other miscellaneous effects. Like the other assets, it doesn't look like these effects here have changed all too much. Water rendering is phenomenal in both games, with some great wave simulation on certain maps, along with some slick interactive effects as players walk or swim through it. Oddly enough though, fire alphas seem to look worse in Black Ops 7 for whatever reason, with an increase in the transparency of the alphas when compared to fire used in the previous game. On the plus side, Black Ops 7 does make use of some really cool particle effects that I don't see used in Black Ops 6. Particles are used extensively, from player grenades and gadgets to random map details like welding sparks on this aircraft carrier. Sparks will even impact the geometry of the map and slide downwards, suggesting there's actual physics applied to them, which is a great touch. Finally, let's wrap up with a brief sound comparison. Now, obviously, none of the weapons here are likely to match up exactly due to the difference in the chosen time period, but I tried to match up at least fundamentally similar guns regardless, to give you an idea. So knowing that, which game do you feel sports the better sound direction and design? And that wraps up this episode of Direct Comparison. Overall, Black Ops 7 multiplayer looks great, but doesn't really do much to push the bar forward either. The return of the futuristic setting does a good job of hiding changes that would have been more apparent. This feels very much like an iterative entry, rather than a major step forward as we've seen in the past. Though that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Black Ops 6, regardless of how you feel about how it plays, does look fantastic. The character models are beautifully detailed. The lighting design is strong and well realized. Environments are fantastic as always. And the effects are still holding up well despite the aged tech driving them. There's not much room here for improvement outside of a total engine overhaul, and I feel Treyarch's artists did a great job within such a short time frame building up some great looking weapon models, levels, and characters to play with. But what do you guys think? Which game do you feel is more graphically impressive? Let me know in the comments section. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content posted every week.